Alright, what's up, world? Drunk Welshman here, and we're continuing our Let's Play of Shadowrun Hong Kong. I don't know why I keep forgetting the name every single time I start this. Let's just check out our little new home before we go talk to Kindly Cheng. Not much here. There used to be a holographic table or something. What is this used to be? It's just a cargo carrier, isn't it? Whatever. Once more out into the world. Back to what is rapidly becoming my favorite mahjong parlor. Not that I know many mahjong parlors. I don't get it. Are the rugs meant to be rumpled just to kind of show it's in disrepair, or is that just how they naturally happen? Who knows. Kindly's place reeks of stale cigar smoke and fresh urine? You gotta be kidding me. What the hell went down? The clicking of mahjong tiles is strangely absent, and it places a low murmur of laughter and an air of eager anticipation. All eyes are focused on the groaning figure kneeling bloody and bound at the feet of Kindly Cheng. Oh, somebody pissed themselves. She beckons to him with her finger as he struggles towards her, the loud rustling of the plastic tarp crackling under his knees as he moves. His pants are wet with fear, and a acetylene torch lies on the table at Cheng's right hand. Holy cow, remind me not to piss her off. Kindly Cheng ignores the scene. She behaves as if all is right in the world. How did you sleep, my little ones? I don't want to be too sarcastic with her. I have to be direct. Fine, thanks. What's with the guy on the floor? She indicates the kneeling man with an incline of her nose. Shitbird here. God, does she always just... whatever. It's like the kind of shit that a Rooster Teeth says. Anyway, Shitbird here is a plainclothes cop. He snuck into the area last night while you were sleeping, hoping to find you and kill you before his competition got to you first. My men found him outside the trawler you were sleeping on. They saw to it that your rest was undisturbed, and that your location remained a mystery. Guess fortune doesn't favor the bold in his case. She nods her head back towards the pillar of meat standing behind her. You can thank Mr. Bao for that. I guess I'll just nod at him. Bao inclines his head 1/4 of an inch. She addresses the bloody man on his knees. Now, shitbird, tell my friends what you told me. I don't know anything, I swear. We just got the orders last night. He pushes his head towards you and woo from the floor, struggling to keep his balance. Somebody high up wants these two dead. The whole department's on it. I don't know anything else. Someone from high up? The old woman lifts her foot, taps his chin with the toe of her shoe. How high? The cop looks up at her, looks around at the room filled with triad soldiers. One of them opens his coat and shows the cop something inside. He closes it slowly and winks. The cop drops his head to his chest. All the way up. It's someone on the council. Someone on the executive council wants these two dead? Cheng spits on him with a sneer. Fuck your ancestors to the 18th generation. Give me the truth. The cop wears the spittle. He never lifts his head. That's a weird sentence. It's the truth, madam. I swear it. Whoever has labeled them as terrorists. Whoever it was labeled them as terrorists. Ugh, it's too early in the day for reading. We're to terminate with extreme prejudice. Kindly Cheng shuffles closer to the kneeling cop, reaching down and strokes his head with her hand. Then she slowly digs her fingers into his scalp. She pulls back hard until his chin points high. The triad boss leans in close and searches his eyes with her own. That's all he's got. She lets go of his head and smooths his buzz-cut hair with her hand. For whatever reason last night, someone on the Executive Council of the Free Enterprise Zone ordered the Hong Kong police force to kill 2 nobodies from Seattle. I find that fascinating, don't you? Oh, that's some messed up shit. Yes, but why they need to label us international terrorists? She strokes the policeman's cheek with the back of her hand. Her rusty voice becomes sweet as she explains the ways of the world. Propriety, my darling. When the government has someone gunned down, they prefer to make it appear justified. And people feel safer when their murders feel like part of civilization. My, but you have definitely fallen into the deep end of the pool. Seattle isn't like Hong Kong there. The megacorps control the government. Here, the corps are the government. The exec council is chosen by the corporate board of governors. They're basically the legislative and executive branches of the Hong Kong government in one tiny package. 8 people call all the shots. Neat and efficient. Unless they disagree with each other, I guess, but whatever. Kylie Cheng steps back from the cop and lights one of her thin black cigars. For the wage slaves and the civilian sheep, the corporations are a pantheon of gods who wield absolute power. She looks around the room, but not to us. The trad woman takes a long pull from her cigar and taps her ash on the kneeling cop's head. Who else knows about my guest's visit to Hawaii, shitbird? No one, madam. I haven't called it in yet. I wanted to kill them for myself. No one knows they're here. I swear it. She turns to her enforcer. Mr. Bao? I get the feeling he's about to die. Bao fiddles the PDA in his meaty hands. He's telling the truth. No outgoing calls on his PDA. Very good. Thank you, Bao. She nods at the cop. Thank you for your honesty. Yep, there he goes. In one smooth motion, Strangler Bao produces a silenced pistol, fires once into the policeman's head, and replaces it in his jacket. His face never changes expression. I was wondering what we were going to do with him. Chang takes a drag on her cigar, indicates the body. He knew, my darling. He knew. She balances her cigar on her shot glass, picks up some mahjong tiles and begins playing with them absently. It's clear that our friend Raymond Black was to set up something involved in the Wall City. Something having to do with him. Something having to do with prosperity. I get the feeling prosperity is the name of some racehorse for some reason. And this executive council member wanted Raymond dead for it. She stacks her tiles one by one. Click, clack. Now they want you dead for it too. Click. This plastic-faced man may show up on your door one day too. She knocks the pile over and it clatters to the table loudly. I have a proposal for you, my sweets. A smile lights up in her dead black eyes. Work for me. With Nightjar and Gutshot dead, I find myself with 2 job openings. Fill them. I have need of deniable assets here. Players unaffiliated with the triads who could take care of some of the more unsavory business needs about town. You've proven yourself resourceful, and you have no existing connections here. That could be a positive in this line of work. I'll just state it bluntly. Shadowrunners. Wu grunts, his jaw tightens, but he stays quiet. In exchange, I will keep you safe from pests like this one. She nods at the body on the floor. The pool of blood on the plastic wrap continues to widen. You'll have safe harbor here in my town, and a steady source of income. She picks up a handful of tiles again. And while you dip your toes in the water of corporate espionage, organized crime, and clandestine mercenary actions, I will employ my network to find the plastic-faced man and gather information about Raymond Black. Where he's been, who he's talked to, who stood to gain from his death, what this prosperity could be. You're putting in an awful lot of effort to help a pair of foreigners. Not foreigners, my sweet. Valued business associates. Gosh, you're starting to sound like a marketplace person. We need to learn who killed from one of my clients and then ordered the corpse to execute my team of Shadowrunners. Her voice drops and she becomes deadly serious. This is a brazen disregard for my power. Face dictates that it must be confronted, or I stand to lose everything. We're Westerners. Isn't that a liability in this business? Oh no, on the contrary. There's a good market for out-of-town talent that's just waiting to be exploited. Plus you're unknown. A surprise, if you will. Surprise! Anyway. I find the right jobs for people with your talents. You do what our clients cannot do for themselves. I take a finder's fee and a small percentage of your earnings. You make a lot of Nuyen very quickly. It's all very civilized, except for the, you know, breaking and entering and wet work and interrogation and pain and suffering and anyway. Maybe that is civilized. She leans in. Work with me. Allow me to help you make money. Let my network work for you and help you find out what you've gotten yourselves into. Without my help, you won't last a day out there. You're completely out of your depth, I'm afraid. You need a partner. Kindly Cheng will be your partner. You. Wu's hands go to his hips. He drops his head and shakes it a little, amused. It was just like you said, Pink. Shadowrunners. Glad I had some time to think about it. Process. He grips the back of his neck, squeezes hard, and rips his hand away. Ah, fuck it. I'm not a cop anymore. That guy's dead. He nods. The decision's made. I'm in. What about you? I must have a moment of solidarity with Duncan. I think Ray's still alive too. Let's run the shadows and figure out what happened to him. Raymond is alive. I'm sure of it. So I'll run the shadows as long as Auntie Cheng keeps up on her end of the bargain and helps us figure out what really happened to him. Then I'm going to find my father. Then it's done. AOA is open to you. She gestures to her lieutenant, who raises a finger to his ear and whispers into his sleeve. First order of business, Marwalaeth here, has already chosen a street name. She turns her attention to Wu. But Duncan Wu doesn't exist anymore. You'll need one too. He's going to be called Gun Show. Wu sighs. Yeah, okay. I'll think of something. Goblet runs her cheek against her rats, a glint in her eye. I think we've already got you covered, Gun Show. She turns to Isabel. Fits, don't it? Indeed. I knew that was going to stick. Roll credits. Anyway. It has stuck. Goblet, Isabel, we'll handle this the same way we did with all your previous work. She didn't say Nightjar. All the jobs I lined up for you will be sent to your computer on the squat boat. She's pointing at you. My computer? I'm not the leader type. You are now, by process of elimination. She points to the little Deckard. Isabel isn't the leader type. You got that right. She moves her finger to the orc girl. As for Goblet, let's just say Goblet doesn't have a head for business. Not my thing. She rests her finger on Wu, and then there's Gun Show. She wiggles it. The jury's out on Mr. Gun Show. Meaning? Her response is direct, straightforward. I mean, there's a lot going on in that head of yours right now, and I'm not sure that I can trust you. So I'm in charge. That might alienate one. Gun Show will be fine. Trust me. Solidarity. Kindly Cheng makes eye contact with you and holds it. She keeps it steady for a long time. Wu doesn't notice. Don't worry. I'll be cool, Pink. I had a handle back on the Baron's Marwalaeth. Guess it's time I dusted it off. Pinka Mina Diane Pai doesn't exist anymore. Call me Marwalaeth. Wu shakes his head, eyebrow raised. Gonna be weird calling you Marwalaeth again. Haven't called you that since we were kids. Goblet looks from Isabel to Wu to you. I guess this is our new crew. The rat on her shoulder scurries to the top of her head for a better view. Welcome to the shadows, Marwalaeth. And I guess we're going to activate the mission computer and start making some Nuyen. As you lead your team through the shadows, your companions will continue to develop and learn new combat skills. Clicking the icon in the lower right-hand corner of the screen will open up the Crew Advancement menu. When this icon is highlighted, one or more of your companions is eligible to learn a new combat skill. At each advancement level, you may choose one of two possible combat skills for each of your runners. Choose wisely. Oh, I hope this doesn't crash the computer. Okay, thank goodness. Better with SMGs. Better at summoning. You know what? I always suck balls with summoning. I can always have problems that I just don't use it at this point, so I think I'll go ahead and do that. Yeah, I want her to be able to summon spirits and actually be useful. This build good environmental mines, can be treated at will. It's a tar blaster program. We'll do the espionage because I need her to be a good decker. Firepower. Here's the 2 armor. That's nice. Those are both pretty useful. But, yeah, we'll go with this one. Crowd control. Stun him. And that's everything. Alright. Let's find out what our first exciting mission is. What's going on with the hatch? What the hell? Raptor. It's oppressively hot down here, and the air is full of synthetic odors that grab you by the sinuses and refuse to let go. You can smell engine grease and melting plastic, ionized air, and lead solder. A quick scan of the room tells you why. The downstairs tenant has converted this place into a machine shop. Metal fabrication tools and Duraplast extruders line the walls, and a pair of heavy industrial manipulators hanging from the ceiling. A man in a black trench coat stands with his back to you, staring at a monitor mounted above a sturdy workbench. He addresses you without turning. Ah, I was wondering when I'd meet the new neighbor. His voice is pleasant, cultured. There's a hint of a Russian accent here. Oh yeah, I get to do a Russian accent. But it's buried beneath layers of nuance. Please stay where you are. I will be with you in just a moment. That is not even close to Russian. I'm going to stop now. And unless you fancy an unplanned trip to Chrome Alley, don't touch anything. What does that mean? I guess losing a limb? There are all manners of tools here that could take your hand clean off. Oh, yeah, that's what it means. Thanks for the warning. Don't mention it. I have no interest in seeing anyone hurt in my shop, especially not my upstairs neighbor. Examine the arms on the ceiling. You focus on the enormous manipulator arms that you saw earlier. They're bulky industrial things, dented from years of heavy use. Each arm has been fitted with at least a dozen different welders, soldering guns, extruders, and metal fabrication tools. You've seen machinery like this in factories before, but they seem terribly out of place in the bolt holes cramped engine room. Oi. Yes, good. Very good. That's coming along nicely. Very nicely indeed. He turns towards you, smiling, and for the first time you can see his face. He has a broadly handsome Slavic features and a chiseled jaw. His eyes are like flecks of ice. So sorry to have kept you waiting, miss. I don't want to tell him his real name, so I'll say my street name, Moraleith. It's no problem. Don't worry about it. You're too kind. Now tell me, what can I do for... His voice trails off as a flash of motion catches his eyes. With alarming speed, a sinister-looking drone scuttles out from under the work table. Its movements are surprising and agile and fluid. The machine rears back menacingly, spreading its forelegs as a clear sign of aggression. The man's smile tilts, and his tone goes apologetic. Please don't mind the drone. He can be territorial. But as long as you remain civil, he will not bite. He extends his hand. Simultaneously, the drone relaxes into a neutral position, lowering its killing legs. Raktor, my mechanical counterpart here, is called Koshi? Slap him 5. Sup, man? Nah. Keep it cordial. A pleasure. His hand is rough and abnormally warm to the touch. He shakes your hand with a solid grip. I am very pleased to meet you, my friend. In a community such as Hoi, it's important to be on good terms with one's neighbors. Agreed. Speaking of which, I'd like to ask you some questions if you have the time. He glances at the bracer on his forearm. A technical display wicks to life and then gutters out. Very well. This morning's casting should still be cooling for a few minutes. That's enough time to talk. No, excuse me. Are you Russian? I thought I caught a hint of an accent there. Are you sure it wasn't Irish? Because I can't do accents. He nods. You have a good ear. I'm impressed. Yes, I grew up in the Nishti Novgorod. Whatever. Went to school there. Started my career there in the industrial sector. A fairly common story, I'm sure. Is it? Because I sure as hell can't pronounce half of that story. But I have also traveled a great deal, and in so doing it absorbed a number of other languages and dialects. Poignant, but why not? Well, you've done a good job of dropping your original accent. Are you trying to distance yourself from your homeland? No, not at all. That's just the way I speak. He raises an eyebrow. Would it make you more comfortable if I use the word da more often? Referred to as comrade, perhaps? It won't be necessary. I was just making an observation. A fair one. It's true that my travels and experiences have changed me, and I'm sure yours have changed you. Do not take my failure to match your preconceptions as evidence as I've abandoned my heritage, my friend. We are all products of our experiences, after all. Most are influenced by their world. Very few influence the world around them. Kashi is an interesting name for a drone. Yes, I suppose. Not many riggers would name their most prized possession after a villain from a fairy tale. A nod to my heritage, I suppose. Academic etiquette? Yes, I know the story you're talking about. The smile widens. Oh, how marvelous. I hadn't thought I'd meet anyone versed in the Russian classics here in Hoi. I studied. If memory serves, Koshi the Deathless was an immortal villain and a kidnapper of women. He nods. Indeed, he was those things, but it was not Koshi's misdeeds that drew me to the name. I suppose it was the notion of immortality through cleverness that resonated with me. There was something to be learned from that, I was sure, and so when it came time to name my beloved creation, his was the first thing that came to mind. And is your drone deathless, like its namesake? In a matter of speaking, I suppose that he is. I have redundant copies of every piece of his architecture, and his core programming is stored on a disk in a secret location. Should he ever suffer critical damage, I can easily bring him back. I had a plan once to automate the self-repair process. I must confess, it was really quite ingenious, but alas, my research was lost. One day I will reclaim it, and Kosho will become as deathless as the stories claim, but it will not be today. You've got some interesting machinery here, not the kind you typically see outside of corporate settings. He smiles. The same can be said of many in Hoi, I'm sure. This is a smuggler's den, is it not? Our entire economy is based on people having things they shouldn't. Is there a particular device that interests you out of curiosity? I get the feeling he'd be possessive of his drone, so I won't antagonize him that way. Let's talk about those crazy manufacturing arms. His smile flashes brilliantly in the light. Good guess. That's precisely what they are. They fell off a boat, you might say. They weren't cheap, and I acquired them and had them mounted to the walls of my shop. I simply had to have them. The return on investment has been dramatic. Yes, they're recruited by far than the Waldo Cert devices that I use in my professional... Waldo devices? Whatever. That I used in my professional life, but they still do the job and they are mine. He gazes lovingly at the industrial arm, still smiling. They have increased my fabrication capabilities nearly tenfold, and that, to me, is worth any price. When you said this morning's casting, what did you mean? Exactly what I said. A casting I made of a new locomotive assembly for Koshi. He gestures at the display above the work table. I have a biomimetic design, as you can see. This one is inspired by the walking legs of a decapod crustacean. The mangrove crab, to be exact. That's fascinating, and this new Lego assembly will make your drone more effective? That remains to be seen, but there's more to life than combat effectiveness, is there not? By fabricating new components for Koshi, I unlock options, different ways of being, even the failures, and there have been many, have value in this context. How did you learn to do all of this? More training experience than I care to mention. He offers you a wry smile. Drone architecture was once my profession, you see. Now it's more of a calling, one that I'm free to pursue, now that I've freed myself from the shackles of a corporate servitude. Those seem really personal. I'm not going to ask those. I have to get back upstairs. Very well, come back anytime. It's pleasant to have someone to talk to. Yeah, I'm just going to totally invade your privacy some more. And check out your bedroom. Check out your bedroom. There's nothing in here. Why is that? Whatever. Let's get a mission. Your workstation and mission computer. The cool blue tones of the workstation's main menu fill the screen. A blinking message in the upper right-hand corner notifies that you have 6 unread messages. Oh, that's a lot of reading. And actually, I'm running out of time, so we're gonna have to pick this up later. Let's check out the jobs directory real quick. Jobs, main. Let's view all pending jobs. Okay, I guess I have to read through those messages. Access to Shadowlands, BBS. I think I will post this pay data for sale. Exotic animal dealer contacts. Man, all kinds of stuff in here. Yep. Guess next episode will be reading intensive again. But until that time, I will see you around.